Hello everybody and welcome back to the labs. I am Tousty and I'll be hosting our second module spotlight on Applied Energistics 2, the basics. Once again, I will be doing these module spotlights where I'll be breaking down the much larger mods into smaller pieces so it's easier to find which part you need to watch. For example, our last one was on auto crafting. If you know the basics of AE2 already, or even AE1 and feel like trying to puzzle some stuff out and just jumping in, you may just want to watch the auto crafting one to see how things go with that, because it's very different. So today we're going to be looking at the basics of Applied Energistics 2. To begin, we're going to have to start by going over a little bit of world gen and then some of the basic tools and things required for the very basic crafting recipes in this mod. So let's begin. So one of the first things you're going to need to do is craft yourself a Meteorite Compass. Now, this compass is very easy. It takes a bit of charged Certus quartz and some iron ingots. Charged Certus quartz is one of the couple of things that Applied Energistics adds to the game as ore gen. Now, the Certus quartz looks like this in the world. At least I know this is a resource pack that you may or may not be using, but it is one that we use in our playthrough, and just it's similar to this. It's the stone texture with some turquoise blobs in it. Now, you'll see two different kinds. You will find the charged Certus quartz ore, and you will also find the Certus quartz ore, the regular kind. When you dig it, you will get charged Certus quartz or regular quartz, depending on which one you dig from it. And that's about it. So once you have a bit of charged Certus quartz, grab some iron, put it in the crafting table, and make yourself a Meteorite Compass. When you do that, you'll find that your Meteorite Compass will now point you in a direction. Hello, creeper. Now, I'm just going to fly away from him and follow my compass to wherever I am going. It will slowly but surely direct you to where you're going. Every once in a while, you'll see it flash and do that. Usually that happens as you cross over chunk boundaries, and it may make sense why in a little bit. If it doesn't, then don't worry about it. It's really not that important. Just know that it will happen, and just to keep on trucking the direction it told you, and eventually you'll get to where you need to be. So, as we go forward, we will find that this may take a very long time. Why are my chunks not loading? There we go. If it does take a long time, just have faith. It depends on the world. Sometimes I've found them very quickly. Oh, there we go. And sometimes they take a very long time. Now, we got really lucky. There's actually one quite nearby to us. I did not know that. When you get into an area where there is a meteorite, your compass will do this. It will go a little crazy, and that's a good thing. So, you may find that when you get into an area where your compass is going crazy, you see this big blob of beautifully textured sky stone. Now, in the vanilla resource pack or this texture pack, which is the Sphax texture pack, it is a beautiful texture regardless. The reason I've chosen to keep Sphax on is because it works a little bit better for my lighting in the game. I find that especially the sky stone is very dark, and this is how I play. So, when you do find this, you'll notice that it's very tough to mine. So instead of mining it, let me just show you. It's quite difficult. I don't even know if quartz can break through this stuff. It doesn't look like it. Even if I get a diamond pickaxe, it's quite difficult to mine. Alright, there we go. So, not bad, not great. We'll go through. Anyways, what you're looking for is once you have found your meteor, you're going to dig into the center of it. It'll be relatively close to the center of what we're looking for. And once you find it, you will know. Now, what I was saying about the lighting is you may find that it's very difficult to see what I'm about to show you. This chest. On the vanilla resource pack, I have found that it is kind of hard to see sometimes, especially when it's dark out. But eventually, if you mine down to the middle of your meteorite, you will find a skystone chest that has one of these guys, an Inscriber logic press. Sometimes it has some other Applied Energistics things in it, but for the most part, it's just got presses. You're looking for 4 different presses. Excuse me. You're looking for these Inscriber presses. You want the calculation press, the engineering press, the logic press, and the silicon press. If you find the name one, sweet. It's not really necessary for what we're going to be talking about today or in the basics at all, but it can't hurt to get. So you're going to have to find yourself a few meteors probably to find all 4 of these different presses. But once you do, you're pretty much ready to get started on anything that you need to do in Applied Energistics. So let's just jump back to our area here and begin looking at the rest of the basics of this mod. Not really sure why those just broke. That was really, really strange. Oh, I know why it broke. Okay, ignore that. So, you've got some Certus quartz, some charged Certus quartz, and you've got your presses. Now what? Well, many of the recipes in this mod require charged Certus quartz and processors. So that's what we're going to look at next. To make your Certus quartz, you may find that the regular Certus quartz, what I'm calling the neutral Certus quartz, is much, much more abundant than the charged. You may get lucky and find more charge, but for the most part, I found that the neutral Certus quartz is much, much more common. But thankfully, the mod author has put a machine in the game that makes it possible for us to charge up our regular Certus quartz into charged Certus quartz, and that is this guy, the Charger. Now, before we get into him, you should know that Applied Energistics 1 and 2 are very good at mod integration. They accept lots of different kinds of power systems from different mods. Industrial Craft 2, Thermal Expansion, any RF-based mod that has an RF generation system in it, like extra utilities or like Ender IO, they can all be interact with AE2. Mechanism, Universal Electricity, that system, factorization interacts with AE2 very, very well. You will need to have some sort of power system in it, because Applied Energistics 2 does give you a generator, but it is not the best one to rely on for end game, and we will see why. So, you're going to want to make yourself a charger, because they're quite necessary. You will need a charged Certus quartz for it. Actually, you'll need one charged Certus quartz to get the charger. So once you find a charged Certus quartz, you may want to use that to make a charger right away. To do so, you need to make what we have here, a Sphax crystal. Sphax crystals are quite easy. Simply find yourself a source block of water, throw in your charged Certus quartz, a bit of nether quartz, and a bit of redstone, and you'll see it pop into, we got 2 more Sphax crystals. That recipe is in NEI. He has it written out for you to see. But if you see this sort of an interface in NEI, know that you do need to read it to craft what it's talking about. It's very helpful. It's very informative. Just take a second and read that. So that's how we make our Sphax crystal. Once you get that going, you can just put it with some iron, and you can use it or pure Sphax crystals and create yourself this charger. Now, this charger does need power. For our purposes, I'm going to grab a machine from Applied Energistics 2 that generates power to show you that, because it is part of the basics as well. So we're looking at this vibration chamber. It will create power for you. It just needs fuel. So I'm going to grab us some coal. I'm going to see if coal blocks work for me. They do. Okay, so now this guy is generating power, which means if I take some regular Certus quartz and plop it in the charger, give it a second, eventually it will switch to a happy and fully charged Certus quartz. There it goes. All right, so now we have our charged Certus quartz. Right? Easy enough? Okay. So that's what you need to do with the charged Certus quartz. Your basic Certus quartz does have some uses at the beginning of the game that are quite helpful. You can make yourself any of the basic tools, a Certus quartz hoe, shovel, axe, sword, pickaxe, all that good stuff. And they're, in my opinion, a little bit better than iron, but I'm not sure what the actual statistic is there for that. They are good tools, however, especially with the early game, I wouldn't use your quartz for them unless you really, really have to. The quartz is so valuable that it's not really worth using on tools, in my opinion. But feel free to play around with that and figure out how that works best for you. Aside from that, you can also make yourself a quartz wrench. You can do this out of Certus quartz or nether quartz, and that goes for the rest of the tools as well. If we look over at the Applied Energistics tab in NEI again, you'll see that it's Certus quartz and nether quartz tools. Simple enough. They're good tools. They're fairly valuable. I would definitely do it with the nether quartz over the Certus quartz. They're the same attack damage for the sword. I'm assuming the tools are the same as well. They do look like +5 attack. Yep, like they're the same values. I would totally do it with the nether quartz before I would do it with the regular quartz. Still, we've got our quartz going, we've got our charger going, got a vibration chamber for a bit of power, got our fuel in there, and we've got our wrench. The next thing you're going to want to take note of is a machine that, while it can help with other mods, does have a very specific purpose in Applied Energistics 2, and that would be the grindstone. Let me see if I can find me the grindstone here. Come on, Mr. Grindstone. There it is. Grindstone. You don't want to make yourself a grindstone, especially if you don't have other mods in. This is really, really required. But if you do have other mods, this is a great early game or doubling mechanic. So to make yourself a grindstone, you just need some smooth stone, a couple cobblestone, a wooden gear, which is just sticks in a circle, and come back here, and any kind of quartz, Certus, charged Certus, or nether quartz. Once you have that, what you're going to want to do is plop this guy down somewhere near some water, because you will probably be using it near water for the most part, but that's not required for it to function. Once you have your grindstone, grab yourself a few more sticks, 5 more sticks, and make yourself a wooden crank, and just slap it on the top with a shift right click there. Once you have that, you are ready to get going. Many of the recipes in Applied Energistics require dust, whether that's Certus quartz dust, nether quartz dust, Certus quartz or charged quartz dust. Excuse me, I am losing my mind. Whether that's Certus quartz dust or nether quartz dust, you do need it. And the only way to get it that I know of in Applied Energistics 2 without any other mods is this guy right here. So you just put stuff in there, you right click it, and you give it a crank. When it has processed all the materials inside of it into dust, it will stop. If you continue, see, we got our dust now, to crank it past this point, your crank will eventually break. Oh, no more crank. So, that's how you're going to get dust. This can also grind most ores into powders. So if I just go and get myself some iron ore, throw this guy in here, and get me another crank. I can show you that we can double our ore very cheaply, very early on in the game. Now obviously you do have to sit here and crank. Fake players will not work with this. I only know of one other block that will automate this for you. It's not the autonomous activator from thermal expansion. It is actually a factorization block, but I will let you play with that and figure that out on your own. So we put our 2 iron ore in, and now we have 4 iron dust, and you can cook each one of those into an iron ingot. That's the uses of the grindstone. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is maybe look at getting yourself some pure quartz. This is not necessarily the next step in your tech tree of Applied Energistics 2. It's just something that you're going to need to know how to do and to get familiar with. Pure quartz is used by growing quartz seeds. Quartz seeds are grown in water, and basically what you do is you take a bit of sand, which I will grab here, and you take your quartz dust. This can be Fluix quartz dust, this can be nether quartz dust, or Certus quartz dust, and it will give you a Certus quartz seed. Now, you'll see from the tooltip here, this item will never despawn. If you drop it on the ground, it will not go away. And you also see a 0.0%. That is how grown it is. In order to get it to grow, you will see that all you need to do, if you look at the recipe for pure quartz, is throw it in some water. Just put it in a puddle of water. Here we go. Alright, grow. See some little bubbles going? That guy's cooking. I'm going to leave that for a few minutes just so you can see how slowly that will grow, while I talk a little bit more about the power system. Using this charger, you can generate enough power to fill up these storage cells. However, it is very, very, very slow. So I recommend you use a power gen from another mod. If you don't have one available though, this is kind of what you're going to have to be stuck with. So we'll see that we have an energy generation at a rate of 8 to 10. It sort of fluctuates. 10 or 11 actually, alright? So 10 or 11 AE per tick is being generated by this one single vibration chamber. You can put a series of them in, hook them up with cables, and charge your energy cells. These are Applied Energistics batteries. Now, if we go back over here, let's pick up our Certus Quartz seeds and see how they're doing. Still 0%. When you pick them up, it doesn't clear their progress. Don't worry about that. However, it does just stop them for that moment, and they'll continue where they left off. Even though it says 0.0 or 0%, sorry, that doesn't mean that it hasn't done anything. It just means that it's still very, very early in the process. I didn't break it or anything by picking it up. So, as we wait for that to grow a little bit more, I'll show you what it is used for. So the last really basic component that we're going to look at of Applied Energistics 2 is the Inscriber. The Inscriber is needed to create a great many crafting components in this mod. The Inscriber is an interesting character, I would like to call it. It does not automate easily. But what you do is you take one of these presses and you put it in the top. Alright? You cannot put more than one in, it's just that one. These last forever. And they are fairly easy to work with once you have them. And they are able to be duplicated. If you take the press that you are working with and a block of iron and put it in the Inscriber, it will create a copy. That way you can give it to your friend or put it in another Inscriber if you want to have a couple of these going. But once you have found one of each press pattern, you're good to go because you can make as many as you need. So, once you put that in there, we'll see that this engineering press can only be used for a couple of things. We're going to need some gold, or some diamond. So I'm going to grab some diamond here. Oop, that's a sword. So if I put some diamond in, you'll see that it will do nothing because there is no power. So I'm actually going to take this energy cell and just put a cable in. We haven't discussed cables. That will be for another module because it's kind of involved. But if I put this cable in here, you'll see that it did work and it created us a printed engineering circuit. The same can be done with the logic press and the calculation press. The logic press, you just need a piece of gold, and the calculation press, you need a piece of pure Certus quartz, which is what we are growing over here and is still at 0%. Great. Keep on going, guys. So, once you have the engineering press figured out, you think, okay, that's not that bad. I can just throw a bunch of stuff in there. No. The engineering press can only take, I'm left clicking here, only take one item at a time. The outputs will stack. I can put another one in and it will stack, but it will only ever take one item at a time. So there's early on, the only way to automate it is with hoppers, and this is very early on. So if I put a hopper up top though, you'll see that it doesn't go anywhere because this is the top slot and you don't need to automate it like that. So let's just pick this guy back up with a pickaxe that I got rid of. Fantastic. Okay, pick them up, got our diamonds back, got our hopper back, good to go. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to move this cable because it is useless where it is. I need the hopper to go there. Alright, so now we got power going to this guy again. So now you'll see if I put my diamonds in here, it'll put one in, create the printed engineering press, and squish it down into a circuit. Okay, and it'll just continue to feed them in. Piece of cake. You can then get a chest of some sort and put a hopper down to get the finished materials out. Easy enough? No, because they do not come out of the bottom. So you're going to have to find a creative way of doing this. I will tell you that the inscribers do rotate. And you can put them on their sides. So right now you'll see that this is the top. So I'm actually going to pick this up and rewire it the way we had it because this is the easiest way that I know of to do this. I just did the same thing. So we're going to put our hopper back on the top. I'm going to throw our diamonds back in there and see that they are going into the middle slot, and squish, we will have our circuit, engineering circuit. Oh, no we won't, we have no power. So let's hook this guy back up. Thankfully it doesn't really matter where you put the power in this. I don't think it can go in the front, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So it'll continue to make these, and then we can put our hopper on the bottom and it will pull them out of what is technically the side. So you can see that these are a bit of a pain to work with, especially when you consider that you need to change these out every once in a while. If I take this out and I put the calculation press in here, you notice nothing will happen. So let me grab these diamonds out of here, and I will throw some pure Certus quartz in here, and we're starting to make our second kind of engineering circuit. So there's 3 of these. Then all you do is you take them out, you put your basic circuit in the top, or your printed circuit in the top, redstone in the middle, and silicon, a pressed silicon, which you get from putting a piece of silicon, a piece of raw silicon, in an inscriber with the silicon press. Put that on the bottom and it creates a lovely little chip for us that is our completed processor. This is used in all sorts of recipes, and then this creation system is used for 3 different kinds of processors, and that is about it. The only thing the inscriber can be used for is duplicating your presses and creating these basic printed circuits, your printed silicon, and your logic, calculation, and engineering processors. Now you will notice maybe that I have some silicon here from Ender.io, and that there is no silicon from Applied Energistics 2 in my list. Now that is simply because he has created a system in his mod that if it detects any other kind of ore dictionary silicon, it will remove the Applied Energistics 2 from it and require you to use that. Now I do not know if that is any kind of ore dictionary silicon or specifically the Ender.io one, because it has a decent way of getting it that's not too overpowered. But know that Applied Energistics 2 does add its own way of getting silicon. I believe all you have to do is smelt some quartz dust of some kind, whether that's the Certus quartz or the nether quartz, but that's how you do it. Now, if we check on these guys, we see they are 1% done. So very, very, very slow. You'll also see now why they cannot despawn. If they did, you would constantly lose your items. So that is all for the beginning. This is the absolute basics. We'll go over how to speed up the growth of these little guys here and the different kinds in the next module of this. We'll go over the cabling and the channel system and a bit more complex networks. We have already done the auto crafting, and if you would like to see that, you can click a link below for that portion of this mod. Otherwise, that will probably wrap it up. Just the 3 different modules for now, and as the mod changes and develops, I'll come back and make sure that everything is still technically accurate. Otherwise, I'll have to put out some more of these. If you like them, just hit the like and subscribe button down below and drop any questions you have in the comments. Thanks for watching.